Hey everybody, welcome to Class with Kate, where I take you to school on all things restoring relationships. This is Codependency Kate, and man, are you guys in for it today. First of all, we do not have a caller today. I had some things go down, and this is the problem because I'm a doer, and so I do things like before I'm ready or before all the pieces get in place. And so I guess that's not necessarily true in this case fully. I had recorded 3 calls that were all amazing with amazing women, amazing stories. We got some insight there, at the end of the calls and everything. And I send them to my video editor, Joel, and none of their audio picked up on the call. So there was that. That was Thursday. Today's Sunday. So Thursday night, I'm like, it's cool. I have this other one scheduled Friday. Well, Friday comes around and she'd emailed me saying she had a health issue. So super major bummer. No worries there for her. But I was like, okay, shoot, what do I do? So I had this thought at 4 a.m. Saturday morning that just because this is Class with Kate and there are students here that call in doesn't mean I can't just have my own platform again sometimes. And I came up with the idea that that's going to be called office hours. I'm still trying to figure out how to make cohesive my class I'm doing right now. You guys know I'm doing a real class with people. I do it every week for 4 weeks. We just finished the second one. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. It's amazing. And blend that with this call-in show with my social media. So we're still figuring that out. Again, problems of being a doer is you do things before all the pieces come and things are set in stone and you got to kind of like scramble sometimes. That's okay. That's okay. We're okay. That's been my mantra is like, we're going to figure this out. So we're going kind of like back to basics today. And we're going to talk about how not to emotionally neglect your child. A heavy topic that I've gotten a lot of heat for on social media, but it's true. I will stand by it through and through that emotional neglect is like the number one issue affecting families and children today. And even like further than that, it's the number one issue affecting marriages. Like, period. I will say that. And I think that's true. So we're going to go through some examples today of where that shows up and what the opposite of emotional neglect looks like, which is emotional acceptance, validation, attunement, understanding, love, like all these amazing things. But I'm going to show you actual examples of what this looks like because I got really good ones this week from posting about this on social media. So we're going to start with what it does look like, what the opposite does look like, how to not do this. Again, because like, remember, my background is in like couples therapy. And so I've worked with couples in this area. And when we treat things in this way, when we work on this emotional aspect, feeling feelings, naming them, figuring out what you need in the bigger picture of what you want, that solves all problems. It really does. So in the context of couples therapy, in the context of individual therapy, when you're having trouble in your relationships and with yourself, you have trouble having self-compassion, you struggle feeling your feelings, naming your feelings, knowing what they mean, knowing what to do with them, aka figure out what you need and what you want. And shocker, it fixes issues there too. And then remember, I've been working with estrangement. So I'm working with parents and who have distant children. And we look at parenting and that issue, emotional neglect, is always present. Don't look at me. So that's what we're going to talk about today is how to not, I'm doing this class, defensiveness in marriage. Defensiveness is a behavior that comes from emotional neglect of the self and in the relationship. That's what this is all about. And the idea is that when you can fix this problem, when you solve this, all other problems aren't obviously fixed, but they are more manageable. You can solve them because you have the tools to do it. When couples fix this issue in their relationship, they can handle anything because they're connected with each other by way of their emotional experience, their needs, their desires. Or they split amicably with love in their heart, like their PR message says. And that's actually real because they're good with themselves and they're good with each other. They just weren't compatible or something. I don't know. That hasn't happened with me. I don't know. So let's talk about, again, what the opposite of emotional neglect looks like. I gotta be totally honest. So remember those 3 calls that didn't record the audio? And then the one that scheduled the next day didn't record? Or, they canceled? Today's Sunday, and I just recorded this whole thing, and guess what? It didn't save to my computer because my storage was full. So there's something else happening around me, and so I was really bringing it when I just recorded this, but that's okay. Remember, guys, I'm keeping promises to myself, and we're doing this. I'm going to put something out regardless of how I feel and how it's going, and then we're going to learn from there. That's my strategy right now. So, and it's funny. I'm doing this, I'm talking, but it's only me here. It's not like you were even aware of this. I'm just naming the different energy I'm bringing to this than I had before. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's going to work out. 'Cause some of the stuff I said, a little testy. I got to watch my language now too. So here we go. All right. So I was laying with my daughter last night or 2 days ago for her nap. And she, she was in my face. She was crawling all over me. And I had mascara on. I have this mascara. It's is it threaded mascara? I forget what it's called. But it's the one that you wear that when you wash it off, it just pulls off. And it's not smudgy and you don't have to worry about that. So my daughter's in my face and she's reaching for my eyelashes. And that's obviously an undesirable thing, right? You don't want your lashes pulled. So that's something as a parent where you say no. And as I was saying no, I was like, no, baby. And I pull her hand away. And as I'm about to kind of redirect her, to the bunny beside us or to do something else, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, this is a perfect opportunity to get in the habit of talking to her in this way, how I want to talk to her in a non-emotionally neglectful way. And so, she's 16 months old. She can't, she's not speaking back to me or anything yet. She's barely, she's saying a couple words here and there, but she's pulling at my mascara and I'm like, no, baby. And I pull her hand away and I'm thinking oh yeah, let me talk with her. And so here is where I introduce bend to you guys. You guys have heard me talk about this a million times. B-E-N-D. Bend. Remember, B stands for what? Behavior. E stands for emotions. N needs. And D desires. All right. So bend is essentially the method to emotional validation, attunement, love. The opposite of emotional neglect is bend, actually. Okay. So I've been figuring out a way to explain this to people. And that's what it is. Bend is the opposite of emotional neglect. It's the formula to it. That's what bend is. Bend is the opposite of emotional neglect. So all unwanted behavior comes from unmet needs. And the way that you get those needs met is by figuring out what your emotions are. And what this does hopefully aligns with what you want. You have to decide what you want also, the bigger picture. So we're going to go through this. With my daughter, here's this unwanted behavior, her reaching for my face, grabbing my eyelashes, which kind of hurts, but is more just unpleasant. So that's the unwanted behavior. The desire is for her to really understand that not to do this again, but the desire is also to connect with her. She's 16 months old, and to have fun with her and play and kind of keep the energy of our interaction, right? So what I start saying is, instead of just like no and moving your hand away, I do that too, because that's the thing. We do want to like stop the unwanted behavior. But this is what I do is I pull her hand away. I say, no, baby. And then I said, have you seen my eyes this close with mascara on? Were you just curious? Like you noticed something different? So here's the deal, right? Like what I'm doing is naming her internal experience. I'm naming what's happening under the behavior. And I'm doing that with curiosity. That is the magic ingredient to bend to your kids, to parenting, to your relationship, to the relationship with yourself. Real curiosity. Real curiosity, number one. And number two, compassion. Being like, my daughter is coming from a good place. That's what compassion is. She has this like undesirable behavior or whatever, and she's coming from a good place. And I'm going to redirect the behavior, and I'm going to help her understand her emotional experience. And as she gets older, we're going to help her meet her needs, feel her feelings, express them, and get what she wants in ways that align with having a healthy relationship and a healthy like understanding of the world and people. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're having so much fun, emotions, like good, positive. You're feeling excited to be near me. You're wanting to be connected, right? Like she's smiling at me, so she's obviously feeling certain things. Now, here's the other part of this, and I'm kind of interjecting at points because this is really important. Everything I'm kind of saying, like what she feels, what she needs, what she wants, is a guess. Like as she gets older, she's going to confirm this stuff for me. She's going to, or deny, and like fill in the blank with her own language. But I'm already building a vocabulary with her about feelings, needs, and desires. Like I'm already doing this. And by the way, if you're listening to this, you have older kids and you haven't approached things in this way, that's okay. If you change this today, everything will change today. That's the feedback I've gotten. So don't take it from me. Is they say, oh my gosh, Ben changed my life. It's changed my parenting. When I do this with my kids, they like everything is better and is different now. And it started immediately. So the idea here is that there's goodness and self to be explored and understood underneath unwanted behavior. So I am talking to her because remember, emotional neglect happens whether you say yes to things or whether you say no to things. I'm seeing a lot online, when your kids are upset, that's when you understand them. That's when you get curious and like basically do these things. But it's also when you say yes. Or wait, did I say that right? When you say no to your kid, and they're upset, that's when you understand. But do you do it when you say yes too? I'll give you an example, and this is the one I'm talking about. I get a million DMs and people email me their situations and they say, what do you think's happening here? And, to me, that's not crossing a boundary. You might hear that and be like, how are they getting that, without paying for your time or something? And, the thing for me is like, I get to say my own boundaries. Like I can answer or not, but I answered this one DM and, it was like, I have a son and he's mean to his siblings. We say yes to him all the time and he gets most of what he wants and he's still mean and kind of ungrateful. This guy didn't follow me or anything. He didn't know my context. He didn't know where I was coming from, like with all this stuff. But he had seen the video I did on that your kid isn't just a moody teenager. And if you think that, that's emotionally abusive, like genuinely. If you label your kid as moody, as difficult, like that's emotionally abusive because there's a whole situation here that you're not understanding. And in this case, this guy messaging me, he says yes to his kid all the time. And he actually gave me an example. But you can still neglect your kid if you say yes to them all the time. And that's what happened with this guy. He was like, my son asked me if he could go visit a friend from out of state or like if they could see each other somehow. And we originally said no because we had to work. But my wife ended up pulling some strings and made it happen. And my son didn't even say thank you. And it was on me because I was like, should I expect gratitude in this moment? Blah, blah, blah. And here I am saying like, but what is the kid's experience? Do you know the kid's experience? And the guy didn't know. He didn't know. Because I was like, even when you say yes and you pull all these strings, that's about you, right? That's about like you trying to be a good parent, or you, obviously wanting to say yes and give your kid something. Like that's a good thing, right? Like even your behavior, even if it's emotional neglect, like it's not rooted in badness. A lot of the time you're overworked, stressed, and you don't understand this stuff, or you outright reject it because of your own upbringing, like you're not bad. But so I'm sitting here saying like, even if your kid has like an ask or something and you say yes, are you helping them understand themselves? Like, oh, you really miss your friend. Like, oh, you want to see them. Oh, you, maybe you're feeling is it because you're feeling disconnected at school, and you need this friend from out of state? Like, what is the kid's emotional context for the reason that they wanted this, for the behavior of asking you this? Like, and this guy, he didn't know. He didn't know. And then so he's wanting to see this kid from out of state, and he's mean to his siblings. Like I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's what he told me too. And I'm just like, you're not building his inner self. And so he's mean to his siblings. So he doesn't see them as having an inner self either. Like he doesn't have empathy, because you're not helping him understand himself, and you're not helping him understand his siblings. And it sounds like there's no consequences here. Like we're not talking about not having consequences, right? Like even with my daughter with the eyelash thing, like I said no and redirected her. I wasn't just like letting her do it and be like, no, I understand, right? Like you have to stop the behavior as well. Like pause, like, whoa, 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 slow down, right? I made another video that was like, the most annoying thing to respond to like bad behavior and meanness is like you can be angry, but you can't be mean. And that's like so annoying. But the point is like, yes, but at the same time, yes, you do want to stop the behavior. You can say like, whoa, 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 hold on a second. What's going on? And then this case with this guy, his son and his siblings, if his older son's being, terrible to the younger siblings, like you have to separate them. All sibling abuse comes from parental neglect, typically emotional neglect, and that involves not stopping these harmful behaviors. So everything kind of comes from this. And the dad, I kind of admitted he was a little dysfunctional too, which is good. There's some awareness. He's got a therapist and stuff. But this is why I'm here on the internet, because the education piece is so lacking about this stuff. So even when you're saying yes to your kid, are you helping them understand their emotions, their needs and desires? And this is the fun part, is like, if there's a moment where you can say yes, connect with them and about the yes, like about why they're excited to do it, why what it meets for them, like connecting with their friends or whatever. And then to get them like what they want, which is like friendships or connection with you, like this is what we need to be talking about. The language we need to be using all of the time: emotions, needs, and desires. And what ends up happening, what bend is this behavior, like the function of the bad behavior goes away. When you do this, it goes away because there's no need for it. Like, if you're really understanding in that example, if you're really understanding your kid's context, maybe when you understand it, he doesn't feel the need to do all this stuff to go see his friend in another state. Maybe they can FaceTime or do something more that works with the situation more. And so the parents aren't leaving so resentful or like needing gratitude. Needing gratitude from somebody is like a key marker of being resentful and not having boundaries. For real. Needing appreciation or gratitude in your child in particular is the first thing to do in that situation. is right, because we're taking accountability, self-responsibility, is like, where am I overextending here? Where maybe that doesn't align with what I'm able to do, with what I want to do, with what I feel is necessary, with my thoughts. Where am I doing that? So that's the question. So to me, that point, I mean, I could have a field day with this family of looking at areas where there can be some adjustments made, because it's not all bad. It's never all bad. We think of abuse, neglect, these big words as the worst possible thing happening, or like these monsters, like House of Horrors type people, neglect. We're not talking about physical neglect. We're talking about emotional neglect, which is a traumatic situation for kids. And again, from my experience working with individuals, couples, and then in the bigger context of estrangement, this is always present. Always. 100% of the time. And so bend is the way out. We'll go to another example of, I did make a video about this week, but this mom was like, so you're telling me that, because the video I had made was like, kids are not manipulative, like, and even if they are, that's still on the parents. It's still on the parents for creating an environment where kids, once they aren't nurtured, they're just like freely given, or they're not. It's this authoritarian, like, or permissive, like, you can have whatever, or no, you can't have that. And it's because I said so. There's no curiosity, or there's only curiosity because it's like what you think you should be doing when you say no. Like, there's not a heartfelt understanding of this stuff. And so someone had an example this week of, okay, yeah, so I'm so neglectful because I give my kids dinner and then 3 cookies, and then I catch my son sneaking a 4th cookie, and like, that's not manipulation. And I'm like, why are we arguing about whether or not you're allowed to call your kid manipulative? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And my first question was like, why 3 cookies and not 4 cookies? Like, that's some rigid rule. First of all, let's look at the rule. Like, what's up with that? Second of all, okay, if that's your boundary, if you said 3 cookies for whatever reason, are you helping him understand this also? Huh? Are you helping him understand his own self, his own desires, his own behavior? Because guess what's going to happen when he turns 18, he moves somewhere else. He's going to be eating as many cookies as he wants, or not. Because here's the deal. How many cookies he wants depends on, is he still hungry? Or is he just wanting to connect with you and he knows that sneaking food like gets your attention? Or is he wanting to connect with himself? And because he's that disconnected from his emotions, and food and outside stimuli is the only thing that makes him feel something. Yeah. It's like his insides are that good. His insides are that pure. Where that behavior, that like manipulative behavior, can be changed with loving parents who, yes, have boundaries, but understand what is going on underneath the iceberg, right? Because we see behavior, that's the tip of the iceberg. Underneath the water is all of this iceberg, and it's all of this stuff. Emotions, needs, and desires. Does he want cookies all the time? Like, so here's some questions for this person with their kid. If your kid does this, here's some questions. Why another cookie and not the ice cream in the freezer? Why a cookie and not candy? And maybe, I'm speaking like hypothetically, like metaphorically here, but like, because we're wanting them to understand themselves so that they can make decisions that align with them. Like, maybe did they just want the cookie because they couldn't have it? Did they want the cookie because it was there, but they really wanted candy? Is there a way to connect with them in this moment and help them learn those two things? Connection is what helps kids learn. All they're learning in this situation, if you're like, no, you can only have 3 cookies instead of 4 because I said so. And again, maybe your own reasons for being that way are because you're tired and you're overworked and you just like need a break and you just need to say no because you don't have energy to negotiate or even think through another conversation. Like, is that the reason? If so, have compassion and curiosity. Because remember, you have this going on too. But the thing is like, can you connect with them anyway? And can you explore things? Can you play? Like, the other part of parenting is like this entitlement and beliefs that like you kind of abuse your authority by just like, oh, because I said so. Like that's you're teaching your kids that they are powerless. I had somebody else message me this week that was like, hey, I'm really struggling with the terms abuse and neglect. And like, can you help me with that? And she was very genuinely asking. She was asking in good faith, like, can you help me with that? Not like a weird people-pleasing way of saying, I don't approve of this, change it. Because I get that too. Hey, I'm just wondering, like you get that too. But this person was very genuine. And she said, I'm really struggling with the abuse thing. Like, I'm not trying to hurt my kids. And I was like, first of all, I said this separately. I actually didn't say this to her in the moment, but I think of abuse as it's always abuse with kids because of one, the position of power you have. Like abuse is about position. So behaviors that wouldn't necessarily be abusive in other relationships, they always are with kids because of the power. Number 2, so power like legally, emotionally, like you have all the power with them. And 2, because of the impact on their development. So those are the reasons that that's abuse to me. So informationally, that's where I'm coming from. But with her, I was like, oh, what are you struggling with about it? And she was like, I just don't like to think, I like to think of myself as a good parent. And I don't like the idea that I'm like hurting my kids. Like I'm doing a lot for them. And I said, well, she said, also it's these, I don't want to, are these little mistakes here and there really abusive? And I was like, well, the thing is that they're little mistakes to you. They're not to your kids. And so that's one part of it. And the other thing I asked her is I said, do you struggle with perfectionism or like needing to be seen as good? And she just said, yes, with like this funny emoji, this like the sweating emoji or whatever. I was like, there you go. Like, that's what this is about, is you needing to be good, to be seen as a good parent, to feel like a good parent. And that's what's preventing you from really embracing this concept. And I understand my power in this situation. Like, I really do. And I really want to drive home too that I talk about abuse in the form of behaviors and context, never identity. Never identity. Like you are an abuser. Like you chronically abused your kids and that's all you did. Like that's never what I say. It's purely when we make mistakes as parents, they fall under this umbrella. And that's the beautiful thing about our power is that we're the only ones that know how to fix it. And so we have to use our power for good. But ultimately, like it is. So if you struggle with that, like I get it. It makes sense. I'm going to do this stuff too in some ways, like I'm going to do things that hurt, that cause ruptures in our relationship. But that's what repair is for. Repair strengthens things. There's that metaphor of, we've heard this before, especially in a like couples context, I think, but it is in a parenting context too. Like you have this beautiful new plate and you like yell at your kid. And so the plate breaks. So you like put the plate back together. Like this is what's happening is like when you do this is the plate's broken, but you can't fix the cracks. And I'm like, you can't if you're just saying sorry and focusing on the behavior. But you can make a new plate if you're looking at things more deeply And you're learning from them, growing from them, and understanding them and yourself in the process. So that, yeah, the behavior is a lot less likely to happen again. But if it does, you know the deeper reasons, and it's a learning process to extinguish the behavior. That's when you're making a new plate. You're not making a new plate with empty apologies. I'm sorry you felt hurt by what I did. Like we hear from estranged parents. You're breaking the plate over and over. And that's the neglect piece of this, is like you're throwing the little shards away as you do that. The little shards that like connect it all. Maybe not the big pieces, but the little shards that keep it together are going away. And over time, there's just going to be all these cracked pieces, and they're going to go together, but you can't keep it together because all the little most important parts are not there. So that's what we're talking about here. That's how serious it is. But also, you can do this with your kids only to the extent that you can do this with yourself. Can you forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made? Forgiveness is a byproduct of understanding bend. Forgiveness is accountability plus understanding. It's those two things. And this is what we see really missing from these estranged parents, is like this, they're very one-dimensional with their understanding of their relationships. If I behave in this way, then the relationship will be okay. If they behave in this way, then we'll be okay. We can apologize to each other when we make a mistake, moving forward, and that's it. There's no depth, there's no understanding, because these parents will not face themselves in this way. They think that their behavior and their identity as a parent. There are so many obstacles to them learning and growing. It's a really sad thing. And I'm talking again about the ones we see online that are like, you look and you're like, yeah, I get why they're estranged. What I want to leave you with, that the question is, what is the goodness in this undesirable behavior? If I could understand what I was feeling at the time, what my needs were, and what I really want instead, how can I think through how to handle that differently next time? How can I do this with myself? How can I do this in my relationship? And most importantly, how can I do this with my kids? The other thing is that when you do this with your kids, like you're doing it with them in response to them, but you're also doing it out loud with yourself. Like, oh, okay, I'm stressed and I'm finding myself about to yell. I need to take a deep breath because I really want to have a good day with you guys. I really need maybe 5 minutes of space. Thank you for understanding. I love you guys. Give me a second. Like, you're modeling this, and they're going to learn from what you do. There was there's like so many Instagram accounts that show research on why the well-intentioned parents are wrong at everything they do. Like, I shared this where researchers talk about how like reading a bedtime story to your kids is like not enough. It's about connecting with them and sharing your experience, like how your day went. That is actually what they need. Like, they actually need connection and examples rather than just like reading a book that doesn't talk back to them. And so many parents are like, really? Like, really? And it just makes me laugh because social media can be so non-renewing and non-encouraging. And even the ones that are encouraging, they don't feel real to me in a lot of ways. They don't feel genuine. They feel like fake and like trying to blow smoke. You know what I mean? But the thing is here is that it all comes down to modeling for your kids. It really does. And in your relationship and in how you respond to them. That's it. How do you deal with yourself? How do you deal with other people like in your own life? And then how do you respond to them? And then help them do that in their own life. I mean, you guys, in talking about this, like sometimes I feel, I wouldn't say imposter syndrome, but sometimes I laugh because I'm like, the stuff really is so clear to me, and I wonder how I come off. I get told all the time I'm like such a know-it-all, and just wait until your kids are old or whatever. And it's just funny to me because I really do feel so clear on this stuff that everything is inside out. And if you follow these things, this like model, everything will change. Everything will change for the best, for the better in your own relationship, with your own self and with your kids. Like this is the love formula. It is. So, that's what it is. But yeah, that's like essentially that's the essence of how to not be emotionally neglectful, and some examples. And I hope you got a lot out of that because this stuff is real. It matters. And you guys, you are doing really well. Even though we're adjusting, we're working, we're growing, you guys really are doing well in general. Like the fact that you're even learning and you're not like, because I get some parents that like, or people that the way that they learn is challenging, like by challenging someone. And I can be that way too. And there's still the fact that there's a part of them engaging, even if it's not like positive or collaborative or whatever, it's still, they're going to get it eventually because this is true. This is facts. And I would say better to be proactive than reactive about it. But hey, we're all on our own journey at different levels of awareness. And here we are. So yeah, this was fun today. It was good to be back on the mic with you guys. I don't know if I'll have calls because, next week or after, I'm sure I will eventually because that's a part of this. But I'm not going to, the thing is too, I'm not going to force people to have conversations. And I do have a long list of people that want to do this. But still, I want to make sure this is all cohesive because, I'm just trying to maximize time and people's experiences in a respectful way while making this cohesive. So we'll see. But I have a new class coming up in January. If you want to sign up for that, it's for estranged adult children with all these kind of similar concepts. It's going to be called like to be or not to be estranged. And it's going to flow with all of my message, which is if you don't want to leave the relationship, you can change the role that you play. So that's going to be in January. I'll have the link in my bio. The other thing that I'm always asking of people is if you have a great therapist and you want to refer clients to them, or, if you believe in them and they've really helped you and you want them to just be more successful also, submit their info in my bio. I'm going to at the link in my bio, and that there's a form. I want to reach out to them and ask them if it's okay if I put them on a list. Because people are always asking me for therapists that are great. And professionally, I can know somebody, but not know how they are from a client's point of view. And I care about the client's point of view. So fill that out in my bio as well. Thank you guys for your understanding with all of my chaos. The funny thing about this and me, you guys have already come to learn is that we're full of surprises over here and you never know what you're going to get. And at some point things might be boring. I might be in such a rhythm that you're like, man, I miss the old days where she just didn't know what the hell she was doing. And every week was something new. And here we are. So you never know. But all to say, what will be staying the same is this platform, class with Kate. That's not changing. I'm not changing. I'm still doing this every week. We're just figuring out the knickknacks of how it's all going to blend together. But I love you guys. Thanks for understanding again and having fun with me and learning. This stuff is the most important stuff in the world. And I hope that I know you see it that way too. I was just thinking the other day, like, I just feel like the audience I have are like the special people of the world. Is that too like religious, traumatic stuff? Did I just trigger everybody? Like, we're the chosen ones? No, I don't mean that. I just mean that there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of gray area in the stuff I'm talking about. And the growth that I'm talking about doing with this work is like the real stuff. Like, it's not clickbaity stuff. It's not shaming stuff. It's not they're a narcissist stuff. It's very comprehensive and difficult. And I just think if you have the capacity to get this stuff, like, there's only amazing things on the other side for you. So keep learning with me. Stay studious. I'll see you next week. Did this save?